Good afternoon and a very pleasant welcome to those of you who are joining us via Second Advent Radio, or if you are joining us via one of our streaming platforms, YouTube or SLC Adventist, or on SLC Church channel, whichever, or you are joining us on Facebook, we welcome you just the same. It is a delight to be with you this afternoon. We are here for another edition of Let's Talk. And as usual, we are discussing very meaningful and important subjects. We trust that today, as we talk about wellness and exercise, that you will find this program very beneficial. Of course, as always, we have a special guest, someone who has the expertise, the background, the experience to be able to share with us on the area that we're talking about. Before we introduce our special guest, however, we'd like to invite you to bow with us for a word of prayer. Father, we pray that you will be with us as we go into this discussion this afternoon. We thank you for the opportunity to share with our friends, both in Radio Lands and those who are with us on Facebook or on YouTube. We ask that you will guide in our discussion and grant that the information will prove meaningful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Well, friends, as indicated before, we are discussing this afternoon the topic of wellness, exercise and wellness. This week in the South Leeward Conference, we are having, in fact, we started midweek, what we call 10 days of wellness. The health department has sponsored 10 days of wellness. And I have been during the course of the last few days, hearing people commenting. In fact, individuals have been saying to me, you know, this young lady said so and so and so, so I'm going to try to do that. Or somebody else comment, well, you know, I enjoyed the cooking class, and somebody else commented about the exercise program. We have with us this afternoon our special guest. Ordinarily, I would have said joining us out of the UK, but she has decided to fly to Antigua. And so I want to especially welcome our guest with us this afternoon from the UK, but who has flown to enjoy the sun and sea that Antigua offers at this time. We are so delighted to have with us Mrs. Eugenie Burton. She is a life, did I say it right? Lifestyle coach. She has been in the wellness industry for over 35 years. When you look at her, you will not guess that. A passion for health and the practicing of the health message. She believes in practicing what you preach. She has her own business, specializing in helping people to embrace their health right now, to prevent disease, to prevent injuries and illness later on in life. She uses the biblical approach. That's why we have her here on Let's Talk. And she encourages women to take control of their holistic health by taking steps to improve their lifestyles. She has worked in the South England Conference and the British Union Conference of Seventh-day Adventists to provide health and fitness programs. She has written articles. She has lectured at retreats and has just given of her expertise in a very meaningful way. She has also spoken all over the United Kingdom, the Caribbean, and Canada. She offers wellness retreats. She'll tell us more about that. Fitness classes, workshops, and online courses. She's married to Colin Burton, and together they have one son. I want to introduce and to welcome, well, I just did introduce, I want to welcome to Let's Talk this afternoon, Mrs. Burton. It's a delight to have you with us, Eugenie Burton. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. I actually left England at 0 degrees, so it's nice to jump about 30 degrees warmer.
Wow.
So yeah, it's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, indeed. We are delighted that you have consented to be our special guest today on this Let's Talk program. We're here to talk about health and wellness, particularly with an emphasis on exercise. I know that you are a a life coach, a lifestyle coach. We want to talk about some of these principles in a little bit. But just before we go into all of that, just tell us a little bit about, I just told our viewers that you are into wellness, you do exercise classes, etc. Just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so mainly I work with women over 40, and just to help them to realize that it's not over yet, that you can never go too far in life where you can't improve your health and be well. And so I'll try to get them to prevent, it's prevention really, and also like insurance, to get them to feel and to be in the best shape, both body, mind, and spirit, as they can be as they move into the next, section of their lives, over 50, basically, and just to encourage them that it's not over, that you can continue to keep being healthy and still be healthy way into your 80s, 90s, and there's nothing that can stop you. So that's through coaching online now. I used to teach fitness classes, but then since lockdown, I haven't actually been back to teaching physical classes yet. But yeah, it's coaching. So I do have like a coaching program. Women come on, I take them through. It's a 12-week program and try to change their lives.
I have to ask you this, but why only women? That seems a bit...
Why not? But I tell you, the real reason is because I am one. I've been through that, menopause and all of that, and experienced it, but still being able to keep my health and to still be fit. And so I just want to, and also with women, they see me and know how old I am and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of them say that I'm an inspiration. So it's like, you know what, let me help you to reap the benefits that I'm reaping as, just being healthy and enjoying what God really has or wanted what God intended us to be.
All right, very well. Well, we do have a lot of men listening. So I suppose that while you do all those things for women, you will also be talking to the men this afternoon. Sorry.
Yeah, and just saying that, yeah, absolutely, and just saying that, really, the principles, like other than menopause, right? But the whole principles of health just relate to both. We're all human, and this is what God created us, and this is what God has for us. So yes, it works for both.
Wonderful. Well, I did check you out on LinkedIn, and I noticed that you introduced the About Me section of your profile this way. I want to quote, they say life begins at 40. Well, maybe it does, but there were definitely 3 things that began in my 40s. My hips got bigger, my brain got foggier, and I started having my own personal summer in the middle of winter. That's an interesting quote. I had to share that. I suppose many women above 40 can identify with this. Now, it appears that as we age, generally, our bodies naturally deteriorate. So my question is, to what extent does our lifestyle contribute to the rate of functional decline of our bodies?
Yeah, well, lifestyle is a huge factor in determining, how well we will age. There's different aspects of that, like what we eat, how active we are. It can be the way we think, our stress levels throughout our life, our social activity, and also just our environment as well can all have a detrimental or positive impact on aging, really. And we just looking into each of those things. So what we eat, if we have an unhealthy lifestyle, and I'm sure we know this in terms of eat badly, then that's going to have a direct impact on our well-being. sugar, for example, if we have sugar addictions, it's going to cause issues. So we're going to get diseases from and illnesses from the diet that we eat. So if we continue, and this is through even from childhood, if we continue to eat healthily, our bodies are like, what is this food that's coming into, well, food that's coming into our bodies? Our bodies do not recognize it. So it doesn't know what to do with it. So it stores it as fat. When we talk about activity, if we basically are sedentary and we just sit down, come in from work, maybe we sit down at the office all day, and then we come home and we sit down in front of the TV all evening, or just sitting down on our phones or laptops, then and we're not being active, then again, that has a detrimental impact. Initially, depending on what we're eating, we may put weight on, and that then causes a whole chain of lifestyle diseases. But also, if we are not strong, that's going to have a detrimental impact on our mind. And looking at the way we think, if we are negative, and we don't, we complain a lot and we say negative things about ourselves as well, then that has an impact, a chemical reaction in our bodies. God didn't design us to be so unhappy and miserable and negative. Stress levels as well. We know what happens when we're stressed, but also our environment. If we are, not happy in our environment, don't feel safe, etc., then all of these things impact our lifestyle. And, any faults within those things within our lifestyle is going to be detrimental to our health. As well, because we think, oh, it's genetics, so I have no choice. But recent studies have found that genetics, if we keep the same lifestyle as our parents, or if we actually can change our lifestyle and improve our lifestyle and keep a healthy lifestyle, then genetics don't have the big impact that maybe it used to have.
So I was about to say, so as you do your coaching with women, do you generally encourage them to change their diets if they are on a healthy diet? And just from your experience, do you find that there are lots of people who come on your program and have bad eating habits?
Yes, to the second one, because it's interesting, because there's this kind of sliding scale of what people think healthy is. So some people think, oh yeah, I had this all the time, I eat healthily. And then when you check actually their food diaries and what they're actually eating, we realize that it's not actually that healthy at all. So it's about, the thing is, people can eat what they want, right? They can eat I'm saying it now, you can eat what you want. However, you need to recognize what would happen when you do eat what you want. All right, there's always consequences of what we eat. And so you make that decision, you choose to eat healthily, and then you get the consequences of eating healthily, or you choose to eat badly or unhealthily, and then you will receive those consequences also. So as well as, yes, I give guidelines of what to eat and what not to eat, but ultimately it's down to the individual. They make that decision.
Right, well, certainly. Well, our focus this afternoon, though, is on exercise and wellness. So I want to just go into that, not to dwell too much on the eating aspect of it, as important as that is. I believe most persons listening to us will agree that exercise and fitness are important components of wellness. But I don't want us to take anything for granted. So can you define the terms, the difference between fitness and wellness and exercise, and say a bit about the implications in terms of the relationship between them? Sounds like you lost me there, or? It rather sounds as though I'm not hearing you. Let's see. Okay, for a moment, we have lost our guest. I believe she will rejoin us in a minute. We have been speaking with Mrs. Eugenie Burton. She is a lifestyle coach and is here with us to facilitate a special program we're having called 10 Days of Wellness. Okay, Miss Burton is back.
I'm so sorry there. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there. It was like...
That's okay. Sometimes in Antigua, we do have internet challenges. And this seems to have been one of those occasions. I'm not sure you heard my question.
You were talking about exercise.
Yes, and I was saying that just for the benefit of our listeners, if you could explain the relationship and difference between the terms that I use. I spoke about exercise and wellness and fitness, and I wanted you to distinguish and to talk about the implications of the relationship between the terms.
Right. Okay. So exercise is like doing physical activity. It's planned. It's structured. It's usually repetitive action, and there's usually a goal or reason why you're doing it, whether it's to improve or to maintain. Okay. Then there's fitness, which is like the ability that you have to exercise or to do any kind of physical task, such as to show your level of strength, for example, or flexibility or stamina, endurance. And also, it's so you have a level of fitness. So you hear people saying, "Are you fit?" or "I am fit," and so it's the result of exercise. It's the result of the exercise that you do. So it's kind of like a state. So it's like, are you able? So it's quite a positive word because the opposite to that is being unfit. And then wellness is more of an overall balance of everything, all your health related elements in your life. And just like we have with New Start, and it's kind of a bit like how you feel. But ultimately, I suppose it's the absence of mental disease and physical disease. So it's the opposite of disease, illness, etc. And it's just an overall balance, overall well-being, overall wellness.
So our aspiration then is to move towards wellness, not just the lack of physical ailments, but the overall wellness, so that not just the absence of pain, but also the emotional state of being where we are in prime functional mode. Okay,
100.
Wonderful. Well, you know, we are Seventh-day Adventists, and as Seventh-day Adventists, we are very familiar with the New Start principle. We emphasize healthful living, but evidently we don't seem to practice what we preach. I look around and I observe that many of us are simply too heavy for our weight. I don't mean to be offensive, but we do have a problem in the Caribbean where obesity is taking control, and we are now seeing some trends even in children who are becoming diabetic at a very young age. So that is a very worrying, a very troubling concern for many of our Caribbean governments. Perhaps we can say it's a world problem, but I want to speak within our context. What do you suppose is the contributing factor to the level of overweight persons in our societies?
Yeah, it's interesting that you said it's a worldwide problem, because well, you didn't know if it was a worldwide problem, but it absolutely is. It's about a third of the populations in the world who, as a whole, who are overweight or obese. A third, nearly, a third. What was I saying? About 2/3. Yeah, 2/3. So some 60-something percent. And what I find, to be honest, as an Adventist, is two things. So first of all, we kind of fall back on Loma Linda being the blue zone, and we are like the second. I think we were the first. I think we're back to second now. Healthiest, long-living people in the world. And this is I find it quite amusing personally, because they're talking about blue zones. They're talking about Loma Linda. They're not talking about all Adventists all around the world. And some of us like to say, yes, I'm an Adventist and we're the longest living people. But it's not really talking about you. It's not talking about the people, the everyday, not everyday Adventists, but the Adventists outside of Loma Linda. And if you've ever been to Loma Linda, you know, I was fortunate to go there a couple of years ago, and you enter and you just see all these older people walking, looking healthy, just active, like they could go on for decades. And I must have to say that the fast food joints like the KFC and the McDonald's, whatever, is almost like just outside. But it's a completely different way of living than what most Adventists do. So that's the first thing. I think we kind of take that on and think that's it. We are the second longest living people in the world, without really realizing that doesn't really apply to us, because we kind of take a step back. I do think as well that it is a societal problem. Okay. You know, we have, if you look at the shops that are open, the places where you can eat for, you know, all 24 hours. I don't know if you have 24-hour places here, but certainly in England, is all the fast food joints, all the junk food that you can get at any time of day or night. And the healthy foods, you know, the places where you can eat healthy are not open. I think there's, you know, in terms of just basically going out to walk, some people may not feel safe or secure in actually walking at any time of day. But also finances may have an influence as well, because, you know, people feel that they may not be able to afford to be healthy. They can't afford to work out, which I'm a great advocate of saying you don't need a gym membership to work out. You don't need a gym membership to be healthy. And then also they may feel that, you know, they can't afford to buy healthy foods. And I have to say, coming to Antigua and going to the supermarket, I'm astounded at how expensive food is here. It's just crazy. I don't know how you guys eat. So I would say, you know, if you can't grow your own, and I know soil is not like it used to be, but, you know, invest in buying local produce from those vendors. But also we like to, and it's a real shame, we like to poke fun at healthy people. You know, we say things like, you know, what's that you eating? If you have a salad, it's rabbit food. And it's, but at the same time, we celebrate unhealthiness. You know, I've heard so many jokes about working out. You know, people say things like, well, I need my food, I need my meat, you know, and they pile up their plates with big food. And if you don't eat that way, then it's like, you know, you need to eat more, you need to put on some weight, etc. And then the other thing, which I just find it actually has a spiritual element to it, is we kind of have things backwards. So we'll say, oh, have a treat, and that treat is something unhealthy. But how can it be a treat if it's unhealthy? And so we look at bad stuff as, you know, having something, you know, hear people say, oh, I've got a sweet tooth. And it's like, no, you don't have a sweet tooth. You have a sugar addiction. Hopefully I'm not upsetting anybody here. This is all in love, okay? But, you know, we identify unhealthy things, unhealthy food as kind of good, but these foods could actually make us ill and ultimately kill us. And, you know, even kids' food, I think I said this at the cooking event, Joy Vita, a couple of nights ago. With kids' food, it's like on the menu at any restaurant. It's pizza, it's burgers, it's chips. And it's like, why are we feeding our kids this when really we are feeding them like unhealthy food that is not doing any good for them at all? I remember when my son was, when he was a baby and growing up, and I decided I was not going to give him sweets. And people were saying, that's cruel. How can you not give a child sweets? It's cruel. And it's like, no, we've got it backwards, right? But think about it, people, think about it. That's a deception. And who does that remind you of? Okay. And the king of deception is there controlling our food industry, making us think things backwards when really, we need to be thinking, okay, what does God want for us? He created us. What does he want us to have in our bodies, and eating that, and again, going through the New Start principles. And we just go through the New Start principles just in case somebody's hearing that.
But just before that, because I wanted to go back to your earlier comment on the blue zone, the Loma Linda blue zone area thing there. And you indicated that, when you enter there, the environment seems to be somewhat different. There are all these older folks who are walking, who are exercising, etc. And here's my comment, because it is true that our supermarkets and choices in the Caribbean are impacted by economic trends, etc. However, as Seventh Adventists, we have a health message. We have had a health message for years. It to me is a matter of choice, and it is a matter of how we condition ourselves. The orientation. I find that, unfortunately, individuals are not willing to make the sacrifice to invest in their health as a matter of principle, so
Right.
that if let's take exercise. I do not have gym membership. I don't think it is, and I'm not bashing gym membership, but one has to consider what one wants to do. But I do exercise. I go walking every morning. I find the time. I have to sacrifice to find the time to be active, to lead an active lifestyle. And I think it's a simple matter to discipline yourself to say, listen, I'm going to put in my 10,000 steps a day, or if you are just starting, your 4,000 or 6,000 steps a day, or whatever the case may be. And then discipline yourself to eat healthy. For your own good. So I don't know that and I got your point quite clearly. We can't apply the statistics to all of us because we're not necessarily practicing it, but we can make it happen in we may not be responsible for our neighbor, but we have to take responsibility for our own selves, our own lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is something that, because our mindset is it. When it comes to exercise, wellness, it is about our mindset. Once our mind is in gear, then it's a lot easier. And sometimes we wait for that motivation to come, but the motivation comes once we start. And so it is a decision. And to be honest, I relate it to our spiritual life as well. So to sin, sometimes we have to battle against sin, and we battle against, doing all the things that, keeping the commandments and doing what Jesus wants us to do. And we know that if you go back to the Garden of Eden, and Satan or Lucifer, he got to Eve through disobedience, but also through appetite. And fast forward to when Jesus was in in the wilderness, his first temptation was turning the stones to bread. Satan has had years of centuries of just fine tuning the whole appetite thing. And so we have to kind of really work to get over that. And one of the things that I always say is, you know what, we have a great commission. And that great commission is to go out to all the world and teach. And, you know, are we able to? Are we fit enough? Are we able to even to walk down the road? And it's like we kind of owe it to ourselves to, you know, as part of our spiritual life, to be fit and to be well and to have good health. And so, yeah, I think we battle against ourselves as well. And there are things that we can do in place with, you know, have goals, set goals, and ask God to help us to get through and to reach those goals. But I'd say take small steps and one thing at a time, but we can get there. And that goes with everything in our life. We can get there with God's help, but we have to take kind of small steps. Some people, yes, can go straight into it, but no, start with small steps and we'll be able to get there. But we have to recognize that, yeah, there is the enemy, and the enemy doesn't want us to be healthy, because when we are healthy, I believe that it's part of worship to God, you know? And so he is trying, this enemy is trying to keep us down, keep us lazy, keep us down. And even Ellen G. White talks about this as well. You know, if we focus so much on our bodies, on our health, and not doing what we need to do, it affects our mind, it affects our spiritual life also.
That's a very interesting point that you made there. The whole matter of tying our health to our worship. I really like that point. I want to expand on it a little bit because I once had a program where I was addressing the issue of how does my lifestyle, my fitness affect my witness. And what I hear you saying is that if I am not fit, I am indirectly witnessing negatively for God. So that's an interesting principle, very interesting.
Because, you know, God designed us and created us to be fit people. You know, he put Adam in the garden to work, physical work. That's what we need to do. I mean, although maybe some of our work is not that physical, but that doesn't mean that we don't exercise, we don't do any activity. And, you know, we have to, and actually, you know, it's easy to look at people who are unfit, people who don't exercise, who don't eat healthily, who are not necessarily well, and see the diseases and the conditions and the illnesses that happen because of that. And then those who are, and I'm talking about, even if you are suffering from something that is a lifestyle disease, then you change your lifestyle to a healthy one, and it can actually, in most cases, eliminate those lifestyle diseases. So and that's just the beauty of how God created us.
I wanted to jump back to that little quote I read from you, from your social media page there at the beginning of the program. And you mentioned that when you got to 40, you began to notice these subtle changes in your body. I suppose that there are individuals who are listening to us now who may be saying, well, listen, you know, I have good intentions, but at my age, it is just a struggle. And some persons say, for example, I was driving home from church today and I saw a gentleman who had exited his house. He had no shirt on. And I try not to be critical of people. I don't know their conditions. I don't know if they're using medication that is creating a challenge, but I was just amazed at the size of, you know, what we would say his belly. And some persons would say, this is a result of medication, or it is a result of my age. As I age, the waistline gets bigger. So if an individual like that comes to you and says, listen, I'm struggling to walk because my waistline is so big, I'm carrying some extra pounds. How do you go about dealing with an individual like that?
Okay, so, well, first of all, I just want to say it's never too late, okay? And you can get through this. And just to say, I'm 55 years old. And you can still be fit and healthy, right? There's no ceiling to it. There's no like, I'm too old for that. But if you find that you have, got to a place where you feel, whether you're obese or overweight or you're not as healthy as you want to, there is hope. And, in Christ, there's always hope. So this is what I'm saying. It is very closely linked on a spiritual level. And so what I do, first of all, is see where they are now. What are they eating? What kind of activity are they doing, if any? What's their daily life like? What kind of work do they do? And assess where they are now. And then obviously it's always good to have a dream. So where do they want to be? Where do they want to get to? And then we look at how we can get there, and the journey that would be, and what would need to be in place in order to reach there. And, again, like I said, first of all, walking is probably the easiest and the cheapest and one of the most effective exercises that you can do. And we are just a quick little plug. We are walking every morning at 5 a.m. down at the stadium if you're in Antigua, and there's other organised ones around the territories as well. But yeah, it's like that's the easiest thing. But then we also need to look at your food. For most people, they can't just completely switch and change. So what I would say is, okay, so what's probably one of the most dangerous foods that they're eating that they feel that they could actually do without, and try and slowly remove that, right? And then we look at something else, and again, they may not be able to go into a full-blown exercise program. So then I would say, okay, so assess again, what can they do? And it could be something where it's like, okay, this is what I want you to do every morning. Stand up.
If I may interrupt you, my apologies, but I don't want us to miss this point. In fact, I was going to ask you directly earlier on, because I noticed, even on your social media page, I noticed that you have a certain kind of balance. You're not just saying exercise alone or diet alone, and this element of balance. Now, I hear you saying that an individual comes and they want to start exercising, but you're not limited to exercise. And I see this perhaps a little too often. An individual wants to lose weight and they say, I'm going to go on an exercise program, but they're exercising, but they're not changing their diets. And so it creates a challenge for them. So what I think I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have to take a holistic approach.
Yes, totally. And when we say, holistic, absolutely 100%. And going back to New Start, that is an holistic way of biblical health, isn't it? So now, when we talk about balance, I just want to be clear. That's not a little bit of good stuff and a little bit of bad stuff. No, that's not what we mean by balance. Balance is like, having all your nutrients, macronutrients, micronutrients that you need in your body, and having everything. So you're not just, I'm not a fan of like, low carb, high protein, low fat, that kind of stuff. No, it's like having a balance. So you have everything that you need, but it goes wider than that. And that is, like you say, that is holistic. So what are you bringing into your body through your senses? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you like? What's your mindset like? Are you quite negative? Do you only see the glass half a half empty or half full? Half full? Are you thinking, oh, I don't know, gossip is another one. Do you lie to yourself? I can't do that. I'm not good at that. That's not for me. That's for somebody else. Oh, it's easy for them. I can't do that. So your mindset is important. And then also your spirituality. Every human has that in them, whether they like it or not. There is an element of worship. Now, whether you're worshiping sport or whether you're worshiping the one true God, there's that in us. And, our things can get offset. Any of those things can get offset, and then we as a whole are offset. So it's about making sure that everything in our life is running smoothly. Now, there may be times when something doesn't, but if we can keep the rest of it balanced, the rest of it together, it can build that up again. So yeah, I mean, and again, it's how God created us He knitted our bodies together in a way that we all work. I'm sure there's a text, isn't there, about the right hand knowing what the left hand is doing, and that, so it all works and is supposed to work together, as well as our environment, because that makes a huge impact on us, and also our friends, our social connections, which we do have. But sometimes some of us may need to let go of some toxic people that's in our lives, and God doesn't want us to be miserable every day, even if it's your work and you're moaning every day. Maybe that's a time for you to think, you know what, I need to move or do something else. And I'm sure God will show you what exactly to do. So, so it's so important to do everything. You can't just say, right, I'm just going to be a vegetarian, for example. It takes more than that. You do need to look at your activity, your relationships, both with your family, your friends, and with God, and also with just look at your mindset and the way you think. Because there is a text in the Bible, I think it's Romans, about the renewing, Romans 12:2, you renewing of our minds. God wants to change the way we think.
Okay, now I want to be practical, because one or two folks may be listening, may be thinking, oh, that's very idealistic. We want to have everything in balance. We want to have good friends. We want to have a good concept of ourselves. We want to eat right. We want to exercise. But here's an individual who is struggling. Here's an individual perhaps who is in a bad relationship, maybe having struggles with their spouse or their fiance, and they're deflated because of the abusive environment that they're in, and maybe they took to eating chocolate or sugary foods, and so they have, in the meantime, gained some extra pounds, and now they're realizing it is also impacting their health, and they want a change. Now they're suffering from some inferiority complexes, low self-esteem, they're gaining weight. They now hear you say that exercising can make a difference, but there is nobody to motivate them. There is nobody to give them that encouragement. So what do they do in a situation like that? Okay, it looks like we have lost Miss Burton again. We apologize for this. We shall resume as soon as she gets back to us. There seem to be some internet connectivity again. We have been speaking with, okay, she is coming back. All right, you are back with us.
Yes, a bit of commercial break.
Okay, so that was a commercial break. All right. All right. So I was saying, here is this individual who finds himself or herself in a slum, perhaps an abusive relationship, They don't have that circle of friends to encourage them, so it is a struggle for them. And maybe because of their situation, they started some unhealthy eating habits. So you just mentioned that when we are seeking to make that change, we want to have a positive circle of friends. We want to have good self-concept and be eating right. But an individual who has none of those things going for him or her.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy because social connections is really, really important. So what I would say is, first of all, there are places where you can find like group support, right? It is a matter of looking, yes, but you can find group support, and it may be that it could be something as simple as a fitness class. It could be something as simple as
All right, we are experiencing some technical difficulties with our connections this afternoon, and we sincerely apologize for this. We may have to end our program a bit early today. I'll wait to see whether we can be reconnected with Miss Burton again and try to see how best we can go through. We have lost her completely. Let's see if we get reconnected. Our internet is definitely chopping. We're going to try one more time and see whether we can make something out of this. In the meantime, let me tell you about what's coming up next week. Next week, we have a very exciting program, and we will do our best to make sure that we do not have the connectivity problems. Next week, we're going to be talking about pregnancy. So ladies, next week, you need to be in on Let's Talk. Miss Burton is back with us. Ladies, next week, you need to be in with us because we're going to be talking about pregnancy next week and its impact on your health, and with a particular slant to teenage pregnancy. So we want all the ladies from all over the world to join us next week. We're going to be having OB/GYN expert, and we are going to be sharing some very useful information. Ms. Burton, you're back with us.
I am back. Not sure how long for, but I'm back.
Sure. Well,
I was in nominated committee on Monday night. We didn't have this at all. I don't know what's going on today.
All right. We're going to hope for the best, right? And okay. Pray that we go through. So you were responding to the individual who may have these challenging circumstances.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the beauty again of how God created us is exercise anyway, regardless of what you do. It's going to release those dopamines. All right. They say that with depression, the exercise is probably one of the best treatments. But obviously, hardly anybody does it. But I would say that, it comes to a point where you have to say, you know what, I need to do this for me. I need to focus on me and get out and do something, and I'm doing these warm-up, these workouts every morning. They only take about 10 to 15 minutes. And if you can, I'd say take a little bit of time in your life every day just to do some exercise, something that you can do that's going to make you feel a bit better to get through the rest of the day. So that's what I would say to that person. Just get moving, get some, try and build some connections with other people. And, what's it called? Meetup.com is one. You can even meet people around the world that has the same hobbies as you. And and just try and do something, no matter how small. You're going to feel better from just doing, even if it's like, right, every day I'm going to do 1 minute plank, you're going to feel better just from doing something rather than doing nothing. And that can build, and it will build. And then hopefully, and also obviously we need to have God in the mix as well. And hopefully that will help them.
So for beginners, where do we start? What kinds of exercises? What's the best option? Is it walking? Is it running? Is it swimming? What weightlifting? What do you recommend?
Yes. The best option is walking. It's absolutely free. So that's what I would say, first of all, particularly, if you are overweight or obese, start walking. If you think, it's just to get out and you're ticking off several of the new start principles. So that's the first thing I would say. And then I would say that, really what you need is consistency. We're coming up to New Year, and everyone has these New Year resolutions. And statistically, it says that after January the 15th, most people will fail. January the 15th, that's like 2 weeks. So it's about, there's different things you can do, such as writing down every day, I'm going to exercise. Sometimes you have to see it as work. We don't want to get up for work, but we do it anyway. Exercise anyway. I would say start with maybe one exercise. It could be, right, I'm going to do 10 squats. And you do those 10 squats. It could be while you're brushing your teeth. You could get out of your bed, down, say your prayers, then get down into a plank, for example, or press-ups. So start with one exercise and build it from there. Even if you're doing something very, very small, the consistency that you're building is going to be really good for later on in life. And then I think people know what to eat and what they shouldn't eat. So I would say, just try and, take out something. It doesn't have to be every day or forever. You could take it out maybe once a day. We're trying to say we want this weekend to be a meat-free weekend. So things like that you can build in and use your whole family. So the thing we found is doing too much too soon is just not sustainable, and people will just fall off really easy. But if you do something that you can build into your lifestyle, that's the key. It's about changing your lifestyle. Build it into your lifestyle so you don't have to go for a whole hour. Just do a few minutes, and then you'll find that it's more sustainable. You can do this. I would say that with the mindset, get a notebook. Write down what you want to do, what you want to achieve. Write down your goals. Remember Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision and make it plain. Then also have a look at not only writing down your goals, but have a look at, okay, what can you do? Don't just go and think with no plan. Have a plan. Ask somebody like me and I'll help you to write an exercise program. You can follow YouTube. There's lots of people on there that you can follow those programs. You don't even have to spend money, but get exercising. If you want to start now, come and join us tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock at Pigeon Point. We're going to do a quick little workout and we're going to go for a hike. And the rest of the day.
I hear somebody saying, well, the curfew ends at 5, so I can't get to Pigeon Point for 5. So okay. I hope you're beginning at 5:15.
As Pastor Sharon White said, like the police will help you once you tell them you're exercising to get there. That's what he said.
Now, I read somewhere, I may have read somewhere of this lady. I can't remember her name, but she started, I mean, she has done several marathons. She was very sick, but at somewhere around 70, she started running marathons, and she has run a marathon every year since then. for an old lady who is beginning exercising at such a late stage in life, and she's into weightlifting and that kind of thing. So that suggests that there is hope. But my question really is, let's talk to the older folks, those individuals who are at home now. They may be shutting. They may even have a son or a daughter who has been encouraging them to get out and walk, and they're saying, listen, I have arthritic pains, I can't make it, I don't feel like it. Is there hope for those kinds of people as well?
Absolutely, of course there is. You know, remember I said this earlier, it is closely related. You know, there's hope with our spiritual life. There's always hope in Christ, and there's always hope with your exercise and your health and your fitness. And so, I mean, it's interesting you said about that lady. There's another lady called Ernestine Shepherd who started weight training in her 50s and became at 70 something. She became like she did a bodybuilding competition and won. And it's like, and she now is in her 80s and helping other older ladies, just to be fit and healthy. Our muscles are always going to get stronger if we work them. Okay, our heart is always going to be it's going to work more efficiently if we train it. So, but obviously, and this is the difference, we have to change what we do. And for women in particular, they call menopause the change. They call it that for a reason. We need to change what we do. We can't do what we did before. And if we change and adapt, and then we can keep it going. So, I mean, I do like chair exercises as well. So you don't have to be standing up to exercise. And I was listening to a woman just last week, actually, who, because of what she did with her dad, nursing her dad through illness, she started to take an interest in the elderly or the senior adults. And basically, what she's done with them is just amazing. That people who couldn't walk, people who, you know, had aches and pains, that now they can do things a lot more independent. And what we have to do as well is just prepare from now, regardless what age you are, so you can be stronger, because a strong body means a strong mind. You can be stronger as you get older. And so, no, there's no restrictions, but please don't go and just start running a marathon. Take your time, seek help, and find out what you can do for you. And then you will be able to find that you will improve on that. You'll start feeling better. You'll start getting stronger. And you'll find that, you know what, where you were before, you are no longer there. And you are, you know, a lot more, more independent. So no, it's never too late.
Thank you so much. Our time has expired. I have been talking with Mrs. Jenny Burton, a lifestyle coach, and she has been sharing some just amazing secrets that can help you position yourself for more effective ministry and just to enjoy your life a bit more. Now, just before we go, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, there are Facebook or some form that they can contact you.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay, let me just, another cheap plug here. So if you register for the 10 Days to Wellness, then I will send you an email, you know, just with everything that's happening each day. And then you can email me directly. So anyone that's registered, you can email me directly back. You'll come to me, and then we can talk that way. So my business is called Designed to Live, because I do believe that we were designed to live life, not just exist in it. And you can go to my, I'm all over the internet, Instagram, Facebook, and also LinkedIn, as you know. And also you can just email me at info@designedtolive.com. You can also find me Eugenie Burton on Facebook and so on. So yeah, so please, I'd love to talk to you. Let me know how you are, where you are in your health and fitness journey, and see if I can help you. Happy to give little hints and tips to anyone.
Thank you so much. It was a joy talking with you. So listeners, please remember, contact your health director if you are in South Leeward Conference, and make sure you register, make sure you sign up. I have registered. Make sure you sign up for this 10 days of wellness. And remember, next week we have a special feature. Next week we're talking about pregnancy and its impact on your health. And I saw somebody in the chat saying, not just ladies, the men need to be in on it as well. Well, that's all the time we have for today. May God bless you. I'm looking forward to another very meaningful discussion next week on Let's Talk. God bless.
Bye-bye.